Hello, everyone. It is going live. It's Sunday afternoon here in the United States. Tell me where you are in the world. I'd love to hear. I am live on Facebook, live on Instagram, and so happy to be here. This is pretty exciting. And I'll tell you, hey, Rachel. Um, so usually when I come on a live, I'm usually pretty excited to come and like start talking to you guys. And today, even though I thought, oh gosh, I really want to do this, it was like, I'm not in the mood. I'm feeling kind of out of it. I'm feeling kind of tired. Elena, it's in the UK. In the UK, it's 9 p.m. Yeah, it's pretty late there. Um, Thank you for coming on. And, there's a certain element of, oh, I really can't go live and talk to everyone. And then, sometimes there's a lot of fear that comes up, and you might think, gosh, why would I be afraid? What's there to be afraid of? Sometimes there's a internal, oh, I gotta go live again, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Like I don't know what I'm gonna say, or I don't know how I'm gonna talk to people. And then I just have to remember that you guys are like friends, and you are friends, and you're like family. And so I have no problem talking to friends and family, and you kind of come on and you say hello and you talk. So today I'm in my bedroom. I thought I would do a different scene, and one of the reasons why I'm feeling this way is because I actually injured my ankle, so it's hard to walk. And so the idea of getting up and, you know, in getting out of my pajamas to get on a live was like, do I really want to do this right now? So anyway, I'm okay, but it's just sometimes it's slow to get started. And I just wanted to say hello and come on and talk about a topic that we have. Well, that's a very, very important topic. The topic about adrenals and our health is super critical. And, I wanna ask Rachel, yes, we are human. And I love the fact that you're all on here saying these amazing things, facing the fear of like coming on, even though I didn't feel like it. It's major adrenals. Yeah, and this is a topic that I'm going to talk about, which is that, um, we're when we have to face certain things in our lives, it can create some stress for us, and so it's really important to figure out how to overcome those levels of stress and how to face things that you don't feel like doing that you really should be doing or that you've committed to doing. It's just hard. It's Sunday afternoon and I'm like, I'm feeling really just feeling lazy. We all have those moments. And maybe it's my adrenals just going, ah, no, don't do anything yet. Um, but I know how to breathe through my stuff. I make sure that I'm drinking an awesome smoothie. What are you guys drinking? Let me know. Um, I know we all go through these moments. And so I wanted to talk about adrenals because adrenals, hey Sarah, hey Kanine, hey Alina. And I just wanted you guys to know that you know how hard it is with chronic illness that you have to show up for the next step and the next step and the next step. Sometimes a simple thing like going downstairs to go to the kitchen and pick up a piece of fruit, that can be a really brave thing to do. And you don't feel like doing it. And it's the right thing to do for you, right? Right? It's the right thing to do, but yet you won't do it. Has anyone been there? I don't think anyone's been there. Have any of you been there? So my point is that we all have to face these moments where we make choices about what is the right thing to do and what is not the right thing to do. And we're like, should we lay in bed a little longer? Should we just not take care of ourselves, do not have the apple and then go hungry for another hour more than you need to. And then what happens is that you end up more adrenalized because of it, because you didn't take care of your adrenals and now you're worse off. We've all done that, right? And hey, Kimberly. Um, so I am, if you're feeling that way, or you've had a week like that, or a month like that, I want you to know that I was having a day like that. And I decided that, and in case you missed the beginning, I said that I had an ankle injury, so it's hard to walk. And so I've been laid up in bed. And so my kids had to bring me clothes, and they brought me, a little makeup so I could get dressed for this live. But it was feeling really easy to say, I'm just going to cancel it. Not in the mood. So, anyway, I thought that I would um, really work through what I was feeling and hopefully be able to just come on, because when I'm talking to all these people on the other end who are friends and family, it shouldn't feel hard to talk. And also, I love talking to you guys, and I love sharing more truth from medical medium, just, looking at his information. Not that I'm giving you anything he hasn't already given you, but looking at it from an angle and deepening into it and delving into it so we can help apply it better in our lives and we can help understand it better. And so today I'm talking about adrenals. So, do any of you know the connection between your adrenals and your viral load? Or have you never heard of that concept? So, if you have an idea, drop the number 1 in the comments. And if you have no idea, drop the number 2 in the comments. Let me know what it is that you feel or know or believe you know about this topic. Oh, I'm glad I was coming on to share this inspiration. So if you do not know anything about your adrenals and viral load, let me know. Let me know. Again, I don't know why the comments, oh, there are the comments on Facebook. Thank you, Tammy. You're very sweet. So many of you are dropping 2s, which mean that you don't know anything about the connection between your adrenals and your viral load. And it's a really, really important one. Okay, so, all right, so do you guys know the connection between your food and your viral load? Do you guys know that? You know that, right? You know that if you ate eggs, your viral load would go up. If you ate dairy, your viral load would go up. If you ate corn, soy, canola, if you ate gluten, your viral load would go up, right? I think you all kind of know that. But there's a big connection between your adrenals and your viral load. And that is that your viral load will go up even more with your own toxic adrenaline than it would with even eggs. Okay, so some of you already know that, but your own toxic adrenaline is not all the adrenaline that you make, but it is the really corrosive kind, the stuff that is the worst kind of adrenaline from the worst kinds of feelings that we have. Like, for example, loss of a loved one, death of a loved one, loss of a relationship, divorce. It could be moving. It could be grief. It could be whatever. That toxic adrenaline will draw out viruses more and increase your viral load more than the worst food you could eat. So I know Anthony in Medical Medium has talked about this, but he hasn't talked about it. He has talked about it, but maybe sometimes it's a finer point, so sometimes people miss it. So I wanted to share this with you because you know how many times people say, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed and the stress is killing me. Or I'm so stressed and I feel like my hair is going gray because of it. I think we can universally agree that stress makes us sicker. Yes? I don't think anybody disagrees with the fact that stress makes us sicker. Yes? Are you guys agreeing with me? Can you say thumbs up or something? Let me know that you agree, right? So stress makes us sicker, but why? Why does stress make us sicker? Injuries are also stress. They can make us sicker. It's a physical stress on the body. It's a different kind of stress than the loss of a loved one, but it brings on more adrenaline. So you guys get that part. Like, but why? Why does stress make us sicker? It's not a mental thing. You know how many people think that stress making you sick is a mental, emotional thing? Oh, you must handle your emotions. Oh, you must handle your mental thoughts about it. It's got really nothing to do with that. And this is where that the crossover between a lot of new age spiritual talk can get a little bit skewed because they're not fully understanding where the stress comes from and what it can do in the body. So first of all, we think stress comes from our thoughts, which can be true, but it's not the whole picture. So you can, if somebody dies in your life, you're going to feel grief. It's an absolute reflex reaction. It's not something that you can control. Like, or if you're going through a divorce or you're losing a spouse to, they're passing on, or whatever the numbers of scenarios that we can think of that are stressful, or, you wake up overnight, you've lost all your money in the stock market. That did not happen because of stress and stressful thoughts. That did not happen because your thoughts are wrong, right? Those are life events. They happen. And that adrenaline that gets produced as a result of those feelings that we have can be very toxic to us and can draw out viruses. They can be latent, they could be dormant, and if you already have an active infection, it can make it go bigger and stronger. So somebody asked a really good question, Ginger Lemon 11, also about positive, strong feelings. So I wanted to say here that if you're really, really, really sick, and say you're bedridden sick, and you're unable to move sick, and you are struggling with a lot of nervous system issues, neurological issues, even the positive, strong emotions can be exhausting. They're not corrosive like the toxic ones, but even the good, strong ones can be too much for the body to handle. And it may not draw out the viruses, but it can definitely strain your adrenals more. Okay, does that make sense? I hope I answered that question. So you guys, we're going to do a webinar, a free webinar. It's coming up very soon. Look out for it. If you're not signed up to my list, sign up to the list, because I'm going to be talking about these topics in more depth. What affects your viral load? What affects the adrenals? How to protect them? Anthony said one thing. He's not said this about anything else, but he said this about the adrenals. And he said, you have to protect your adrenals like they protect gold at Fort Knox. Right? That's a pretty big statement to make. And so when you have life events happen, how do you protect your adrenals? We're going to talk about that. That's a pretty big one, right? Nobody can avoid life events. Last year, I got bitten by a spider that was very poisonous. And it did a number on me, my physical health, emotionally, and in every way. So yeah, I had a resurgence of a viral load happen there. But it's very easy to go to why did this happen to me and feel depressed about it. But that's where you can help your thoughts a little more. Instead of going into why me or resisting, accepting your situation can reduce the amount of stress that you feel about it. And accepting doesn't mean that you're not going to take care of your situation. Accepting doesn't mean that you're not going to handle it. Accepting means that this happened. Take a deep breath and move on. And I think that one of the things, where my kids go to school, it's a really beautiful philosophy that they have. They actually don't make a big deal about good things or bad things. And they teach parents to teach be with our children in a way that's very even keel. So I noticed that in the school, they one of the kids, a kindergartner, lost their dad in a car accident, and they told all the parents to be supportive and be helpful, but to not talk about it and not make a big deal about it. Basically saying, you know how people say, oh, I'm so sorry this happened, and you dramatize it in a child's mind. Making a big deal about things, good or bad, is not helpful. And so I'm learning, there was a really big learning for me there. I'm like, if it's not helpful for children, it couldn't be very helpful for adults either. But it's big enough in their own mind. So if the environment around you can support you to be a little quieter about it, you can process your own feelings more easily rather than have to process other people's feelings about it as well. Okay? So the other things they don't make a big deal about are birthdays. Like if you're going to celebrate with your child, just do a really simple celebration. Go out to the park, go pick some fruit, or make like a fruit dessert, or bake some muffins and do a family celebration, and don't make it a big deal, which is really interesting because the more even keel that you can keep it, the more relaxed the nervous system is for a child. Because if you think about a party involves lots of people, siblings, parents, it involves preparation, probably a stressed out mom who's trying to get all these things, get away, get party favors, and all of these things. And I just want to say that it's not something they really encourage. They're like, oh, just keep it simple, keep it really simple celebrations, and even with the tough stuff, keep it simple, because a child's mind processes it pretty simply. And I think that's really sage advice for handling life events. We can feel really stressed inside about them, but the more we engage in a simple life, and connecting with nature, spending time by ourselves, meditating, reaching out to a friend or something, taking it down a notch with life in general, helps us handle those life events in a much, much, much simpler way, and actually can be super healing. And keeping the nervous system calm is it's like my goal in life, is to keep my nervous system calm. So between it doesn't matter what's going on, there could be chaos outside. My goal is to keep my nervous system calm, because I know that if I keep my nervous system calm, I keep my adrenals calm. And even though there is some stress, it's not avoidable. But you can do so much to keep it calm so that you can get through those moments with more strength, more grace, and more ease than if you allow yourself to get worked up. Because you can, the more you think about it, the thoughts can escalate, they can become bigger in your mind. So you simplify. It's one of the biggest things that I've learned with chronic illness, and I'm sure you all have too in your own ways. Chronic illness teaches you how to keep it steady and even keel. So, Lizzie Lou, when your CNS is attacked by EBV, that's a totally different thing. And for that, we have food and supplements and herbs to help support the adrenals and to get them back. But often when you have that happen, there's an emotional interplay as well, where you can panic. So part of what I teach people is not to panic. You will be okay, right? If you can get to believing that, build up faith, build up trust in that, it helps so, so much. So I just wanted to say, for me to come on live when I don't want to sometimes, it's like incredible therapy even here. It allows me to get into a zone. It allows me to think about what has to come through. But I would really, guys, encourage you, if you're not signed up to my website or my email list, we have a new freebie, which is the raw and fat-free meal plan, to give you guys some inspiration. And if that appeals to you, just sign up there and you'll be on the list. You get a really cool handout, and you get to find out when this webinar goes live. and we're going to do some really fun events around the webinar. And I just want to say that adrenals and viral load are deeply connected. So, can a long battle with strep fry our adrenals? A long battle with any pathogen, beautiful natural, I love you too. A long battle with any pathogen will fry your adrenals. So it's really important to take care of them, like so much so. And Justina says, you taught me so much not to panic with all of our sessions. So important though, right? Is there a new cleanse soon? You'll find out on the webinar. So come, we'll be announcing some of our new stuff. But I want to share, like, this is going to be the topic I want to talk about more and more, because while EBV and all our, pathogens, herpetic viruses, strep, they happen to us all. Everybody has to face those. Can I talk about happiness? Sure. Everyone has to face that. Everyone has to face something. We all have pathogens of some way, shape, and form. Not everybody has to be chronically ill, but we have symptoms of those. And I think a lot of people ignore their symptoms. They don't know what they are. But the emotional, mental side is also a really big deal. And so the emotional, mental side of dealing with our chronic illness, it can play a number on us, right? It can help us, it can make us question our faith, which again brings doubt, which again makes us have adrenalized thoughts. You can have loss of hope, which can bring up more adrenaline. You can panic because you think this is going to be the rest of your life and you're never going to get better. That's an adrenalized thought. You can have any kind of scenario around that, right? So it's really critical to, hey, wild blueberries, healing within reach more. I'm so glad you like this topic. It's so important because I think that while many of us have the tools for dealing with our physical health, like we have the food, the supplements, the adrenal healing snacks, we know what to do there. We don't know what to do when it comes to handling our emotions as much. And our emotions can run off and we can suddenly be in an adrenal toxic overload. And if you're able to control that with your food and supplements and not end up panicking and not allowing it to panic, or yourself to panic so much that you see that your viruses actually grow as a result, that's a good thing. If you're taking care of yourself, you can actually stop that from taking over you. But some things you cannot. Some things are just too much to handle. So when that happens, simplifying life and what we're engaged in and our thoughts and our activities and creating spaces where we can calm the nervous system down can be really, really helpful. So, oh, thank you, honey. She says, we couldn't do this without you. The topic is so important. It is a really critical topic. Joanna, the new house is awesome. Thank you. So somebody says, can I talk about happiness? And I can. And I think that happiness is a general state of mind. I don't think it's a moment to moment expression, because humans are very emotional creatures and we can experience. I mean, have you ever seen a healthy child, behave? They can go from being exceedingly happy one moment to being in tears the next moment to being happily playing and leaving you alone the next moment. And I feel like if you look to children, it's a they give us a really good marker about moving on. Like you don't have to get stuck in your emotions. They also they have short memories with the short-term stuff. Like if you yelled at them and took a book away or a toy away or redirected them and they're not happy, they won't be unhappy for very long. They kind of move on. And I think that adults have lost that ability to a degree to move on, right? So I think that that's super, super critical. It's not just the now. I'm not going to say, Lizzie Lou, that living in the now is the most important thing to do, because if your now sucks, like if you're in pain from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, living in the past or the future can be a lifesaver. So I'm not going to say that, but I am going to say that if you're dealing with something tough, you can allow it to go, right? You can allow it to move on. Good morning, Kristen. You don't have to suffer with anything, and sometimes those feelings of suffering, we can sit with them. It's good to get to know your suffering. It's good to get to know what you are, how you react, who you are in those moments. But it doesn't have to be you. You can decide that this is not you. It doesn't define your personality. It's not the rest of your life. Congested liver, somebody said, yes, congest a lot of our emotions as well. When you have toxic, congested livers, organs inside, not just your liver, but other organs too, your emotions aren't going to flow. And so Mary says, yeah, animals like children are a great example of happiness. And like I said, happiness is not something, I think we are all naturally happy. I really believe that. I believe we have the ability to be. And I think that poisons and metals and viruses and all screw up. Look at what they screw up. They screw up our neurological system, right? What governs our emotional state and our mental states is our neurological system. So when you heal, your chances and ability to be more happy physically, I know happiness sounds like it's an emotional thing, but it's a really physical thing too. The cleaner you get, the cleaner your insides get, the ability to be happy is increased. I hope that makes sense, right? Because we think of happiness as an emotional thing, but I really believe that when your body is healthy and happy, your cells are happy, you will be happy. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I mean, it's not an easy topic to discuss, this thing called happiness, but I think that it's also not that complicated in terms of understanding it. Purely, Catherine says, I've never been happier than in this current healing crisis. Yeah. You don't have to. There was a woman called, and I don't like to quote other people's books, but this actually had a really big impact on me, was reading this book. And I was reading it because I was studying to become a birth professional, which I am. And I'm a birth educator. And I was reading, and the name is, I know the name of the book. The name of the author is eluding me, but the book is called the Continuum Concept. And I will find out the name of the author. And she actually spent time in the Amazon rainforest, and she, watched tribes, that were not exposed to modern civilization and how they interacted with each other. And she was studying them from the perspective of observing their life, but she noticed a big difference in their children versus American children. And so she wrote this book about it. And it's a fantastic book. Hard to read, not a long book, very small book. But at first, it took me ages to get going with the book, but I had to read it for this, for my program. So I eventually did, but it absolutely blew me away because it made so much sense on so many levels, which is that she's like, oh, this tribe of people, carrying this really, really, really heavy log, this huge log of wood. And she said it took like 15 men to carry it. And she said then one of them slipped and dropped the log and they all burst out laughing. Whereas she said in America, if that happened, people would be yelling at each other. And so I think being in nature, because that tribe was not exposed to modern civilization, they lived in the jungle. There's an element of, there's a simplicity in nature that allows us to connect to our simplicity inside. And there's a simplicity in eating nature, which is raw fruits and vegetables, which allows us to connect to our simplicity inside and cleans our body. And so happiness is a state of being. It's not a mental, emotional, it's not an emotion. Also when as you all know, I'm an emotion code practitioner, and they don't have an emotion called happy. They have a lot of emotions. Happy is not one of them. I don't think happy is an emotion. I think happy is a state of being. And I think happy really is a state of compassion. When you can be in a state of compassion, you can be really at peace. To me, how I define happiness for me personally in my experience is peace. When I'm peaceful, it's all level. I'm not up here. I'm not down here. I'm just here, just steady. And that doesn't mean I don't go up and down. Like, I can be doing this live and in 2 seconds after I'm done, my older daughter could tease my younger daughter and I'd be yelling at them. I'd be like, stop teasing her. And, I could sound angry, but that doesn't actually change my state of being. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense, so let me know. Somebody asked a really profound question about happiness, and I thought that it was a really good one. I think that the cleaner my body gets, the happier I feel. I really think the happiness is very physical. I feel very happy in the sunshine. And I know that the sunshine has a really dramatic impact on how I feel. So I feel really good. And the same at the ocean. When I'm at the ocean, there's a very cleansing experience at the ocean. I feel really happy at the ocean. And primarily, I feel peace. So, Sharon Kemna says, what about emotional detox and the adrenals? Yeah, so emotional detox. Kara Sunshine, you ask about hair loss and solutions. Have you read The Connection Between Hair and Adrenals? It's a really big one. So you want to look up what he says. So if you want to take care of your hair, you have to take care of the adrenal glands. And it's a really important topic that we're talking about right now. Also, if you're dealing with hair issues, make sure you have ashwagandha in your diet. And so emotional detox and adrenals, like, I don't believe in necessarily doing detox for your emotions. I think that if you have something come up that you keep getting stuck on, like a pattern, by all means deal with it, right? So ask for support, ask for some clearing. I mean, the soul healing meditations that Anthony has in his first book, right over here, Soul Healing Meditations, they're all about letting go of that emotional baggage. But I feel like a lot of emotional clearing techniques make you adrenalized, like talk therapy. Do you know this, that whenever you recount something that was really traumatic for you, your entire body relives it, like it just happened. You know how women love sharing difficult things? Do you know what happened to me? That guy, he cut me off. He was so rude, on the road or in a line at the store. And it happened to you already, but then you come back and you tell 5 people. So you relive it 5 more times. And then you make the people listening to you relive it. And they also get a little traumatized by listening to it. Now, there is some benefit in being able to talk about things. But when you relive it from that place of trauma, sometimes it's just better to not go there. because you will keep yourself more calm. And if you can't let go of it, then you need help. Does this make sense to answer that question about emotional detox? Because anything that's going to drive up your adrenals is not worth it. It's just not. You got to protect your adrenals like gold is protected at Fort Knox. He says that all the time. What does that mean? I remember calling Anthony being really upset about something. And you know what he would always say? Light, 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 light. Just say the word light. It's that simple. So to me, what he said and what they teach at my kids' school is the same. Just keep it even keel. Anything that takes you out of the range of even keel, you've got to abandon and go back to being even keel. That doesn't mean you don't deal with it. You'll deal with it, but you don't need to drive yourself crazy to deal with it. And because you don't drive yourself crazy, you protect your adrenals. Is this making sense? Because guess what? Adrenals drive your viral load up. I'm just trying to give you guys these connections so you can protect yourself more. You can take care of yourself more. And happiness doesn't have to be this. I think joy is very different than happiness. And I think that you can have joy. You can be joyful. There are times that you're going to be absolutely joyful. But to me, happiness is just this even state that you can be in. But we're just never going to be in an even state all the time. But like homeostasis works in our bodies, right? So I'm going to give you an example of how a fever works in your body. So a fever works in your body. The temperature goes up and say you run around and you get hot and you sweat. And the reason you sweat is so that your body releases the heat so that your temperature can come back. Your internal blood temperature stays at 98.6 degrees. Doesn't mean that you're never going to get hotter than that. You do get hotter, but the body deals with it by releasing sweat. And so if your body temperature goes below 98.6, your body deals with it by making you shiver. And shivering is a muscle quiver, basically muscles contracting really, really, really rapidly to generate heat to keep you warm. So the body is always trying to bring you back to 98.6. The same goes with your blood alkalinity level. It keeps it within very narrow bands. And I really think that emotionally also, we can live in very narrow bands. It doesn't mean that we won't experience emotions, but come back to the normal quickly and learn how to do that so that you can protect yourself and keep yourself healthy. I don't know if that made sense, Sharon Kemna. Did that make sense? I was trying to, I was trying to answer your question, so I hope I did. But I think that the ability to stay more even keel is a really big one. And you can come off as being not caring about something. Like sometimes I have like very little reaction compared to what I used to have years ago to something. And people around me will say, do you not care about that? And I'm like, no, I really care. I just don't want to get, I'm good. This is great. But I don't need to be like, whoa, it's great. It's this, it's that. You don't need to do that. If you naturally feel that way, then sure. But I think states of emotion and states of joy and states of happiness are very organic from within us. When we're healing and our cells are cleaner, our organs are cleaner, our cells and livers are cleaner, we naturally tend towards more happiness. Wild blueberry kiss. Do metals, viruses, and pathogens make it harder to return to baseline? Yes, they do. So you may not know this about heavy metals, but heavy metals magnify trauma. If you have a bad experience and you've got heavy metals in your body, those heavy metals are going to make it bigger than it was. So they affect emotional states a lot. Does that make sense? And when your neurological system gets aggravated because of a trauma, and you have viruses already that are aggravating the neurological system, it's a double whammy. So it's harder to come back to baseline, for sure. Lauren Shander, how about cognitive behavioral therapy? I don't know much about that. But I find that very few therapies don't um, allow you to heal without going to the place of your trauma. Like Emotion Code does that. It's actually quite brilliant. You never even have to talk about what you're dealing with to heal it and clear it, which I think is makes a big difference. So I hope this was helpful. If you guys want to know more about these kinds of topics, we'll be talking about it in the free webinar. It's coming up. Sign up. You can go to my website, sign up there, munizaahmed.com. If you're new here and you enjoyed listening today, please go and sign up, munizaahmed.com, and you can sign up by joining the newsletter or just signing up for the freebie on the website. And let me know what you thought about this and whether it was helpful, because I love hearing from you. And I think that it can make a big difference in just being able to hear sometimes what ideas around what can help you stay more steady and more even keel. So I hope that helps. I love you guys so much. You guys is why I showed up today. I was like on the verge of maybe I'm not gonna come today, but I did. So you definitely inspire me. I know that you said that I inspire you, but it works both ways. So remember that. You definitely inspire me too. And what is ashwagandha, Belinda? Ashwagandha is a herb that's really important for your adrenals and for your hair. All right, you guys, have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. Oh, be ham page fam. I'm so glad that you needed to hear this. I think I needed to say it. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And I love you lots, Sherry. Sandy, it's always great to have you on here. Thank you for listening. Jola Jalanta, you're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. Lauren, you do Emotional with Emily. Yes, she's awesome. I love her. So big hugs, big hugs, big hugs. Have a great afternoon, you guys. Or night, or morning, wherever you are in the world. Bye.